Can you imagine a world where your workplace, campus, or your very home is not a sanctuary, but a potential battleground? I mean, this is the harsh reality of sexual harassment and assault that we must confront. Thank you for joining us on another edition of Gender Perspectives on Signature TV. I am Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha. And if you haven't figured it out yet, our discussion today is on combating sexual harassment and assault in our society. But before that, let's take a quick break. I'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Gender Perspectives on Signature TV. Well, earlier on I mentioned that our topic of the day is on combating sexual harassment and assault. Now, what is this sexual harassment and assault? This refers to unwanted sexual activities such as touching, kissing someone without consent, rape, while harassment can include comments, behavior, and unwanted sexual contact. It can take the form of jokes, threats, and discriminatory remarks about someone's gender or sexuality, and it can happen in person or online. It can also happen between people in romantic relationships. It can happen in families, at work, and between friends and acquaintances, and even strangers. It is any unwelcome conduct of a sexual nature that makes someone feel upset, scared, offended, or humiliated. It can also be a behavior intended to make someone feel that way. It is a form of discrimination, and it violates a person's dignity, creating an intimidating, hostile, degrading, humiliating, and offensive environment. Now, we have a background report that will give us detailed information on this.
Sexual harassment and assault cast a long and pervasive shadow across the globe, representing fundamental violations of human rights and deeply ingrained manifestations of gender inequality. These are not isolated incidents but rather interconnected forms of gender-based violence that demand comprehensive understanding and multifaceted responses. At its core, sexual harassment encompasses unwelcome conduct of a sexual nature that creates a hostile environment. This can manifest in insidious quid pro quo scenarios, where professional or educational advancement is contingent upon sexual favors, or through the creation of a hostile environment characterized by offensive jokes, unwanted physical contact, and the display of sexually explicit material. Distinct yet often intertwined, sexual assault involves non-consensual sexual acts, ranging from unwanted touching to the violent trauma of rape. The critical differentiator lies in the concept of consent, a freely given, informed, and enthusiastic agreement that can be withdrawn at any time. The absence of a no does not equate to consent, and factors such as power imbalances, coercion, and incapacitation render any purported consent invalid. The prevalence of sexual harassment and assault paints a grim picture globally. While data collection methodologies and reporting rates vary significantly, the World Health Organization estimates that approximately 1 in 3 women worldwide has experienced physical and/or sexual violence in their lifetime. The insidious nature of sexual harassment often leads to underreporting, yet studies across various sectors consistently reveal alarmingly high rates of experienced harassment. Regional variations exist, influenced by cultural norms, legal frameworks, and socio-economic factors. In Nigeria, while comprehensive national data is still evolving, anecdotal evidence and emerging studies point to a significant problem within educational institutions, workplaces, and public spaces. The roots of sexual harassment and assault are deeply embedded in a complex interplay of contributing factors. Foremost among these is the persistent issue of gender inequality and the inherent power imbalances that often exist between genders. Patriarchal norms and cultural beliefs that normalize male dominance, objectify women, and perpetuate harmful stereotypes create a fertile ground for such violence to occur and be tolerated. The lack of accountability for perpetrators further exacerbates the problem, fostering a culture of impunity where actions go unpunished. Victim blaming, a societal tendency to shift responsibility onto survivors, discourages reporting and shields perpetrators from scrutiny. Furthermore, Inadequate comprehensive sex education leaves individuals ill-equipped to understand consent, healthy relationships, and respect for boundaries. The digital age has also introduced new frontiers for abuse, with online spaces becoming breeding grounds for cyberstalking and online sexual harassment. Tragically, conflict and humanitarian crises often amplify existing vulnerabilities, creating environments where sexual violence is weaponized. Access to justice remains a significant hurdle, often impeded by fear of retaliation, societal stigma, and a lack of adequate support systems. The impact of sexual harassment and assault are profound and far-reaching, leaving indelible scars on individuals, organizations, and society. Survivors often endure significant physical health consequences, ranging from injuries to chronic pain. The mental and emotional toll can be devastating, leading to depression, anxiety, PTSD, and a diminished sense of self-worth. Socially and economically, survivors may face difficulties in education and employment, experience strained relationships, and grapple with financial insecurity. Organizations that fail to address these issues face reduced productivity, reputational damage, and potential legal liabilities. On a broader societal level, sexual harassment and assault perpetuate gender inequality, incur significant economic costs, and erode social cohesion. Providing comprehensive support for survivors is an indispensable aspect of addressing sexual harassment and assault. This includes ensuring immediate safety and protection, access to medical and psychological care, legal assistance, and dedicated support services. Adopting trauma-informed approaches in all interactions with survivors is crucial for fostering healing and recovery. Sexual harassment and assault are deeply entrenched societal problems that demand a comprehensive and unwavering commitment to change. Ultimately, dismantling the enduring shadow of sexual harassment and assault requires a fundamental shift in societal attitudes, a commitment to gender equality, and a collective responsibility to create a world where everyone can live free from fear and violence.
Like the report said, consent is the cornerstone in distinguishing between acceptable and unacceptable sexual behavior. And valid consent is freely and actively given. It's a voluntary yes, not the absence of a no. Silence or passivity does not equal to consent, and individuals must understand what they are consenting to. Now, consent to one type of sexual activity does not imply consent to others, and it can be withdrawn at any time. It is also not given under duress or incapacitation. Consent is given under, or rather, consent given under pressure, threats, or when someone is incapacitated by alcohol or drugs is not valid. Now, sexual harassment often involves an imbalance of power, where the harasser may have authority or influence over the victim, for instance, employer and employee or teacher and student dynamic. And this power imbalance can make it difficult for the victim to speak out or resist. Now, there are so many things surrounding sexual harassment and assault, but before we go further, we had an interview with Mrs. Grace Opani. She is an educator and a counselor, and Pastor Chukwuemeka Emasoba. He is also an educator and a pastor. So let's take a listen. Today we have a discussion with two very interesting people on the program. So welcome to Gender Perspective. It's my pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you.
Welcome, thank you.
Yeah. So you already know that our conversation today is on sexual harassment and assault. And we are looking at how to combat this problem in our society. But firstly, I want to understand, what do you know about sexual harassment and assault, or what do you understand by that, sexual harassment and assault?
Okay, well, sexual harassment is all about trying to touch someone in a particular way without the person's consent, trying to pressure someone into doing something indecent because you are trying to make the person to do what you're bidding without the person's consent, either out of threats or out of sheer a fear on the side of the person just to please you. So when you hear about this sexual harassment, it is really more on that of the women.
Okay, we talked about sexual harassment and assault. It's a troubling issue that disturbs the whole society. Sexual harassment comes in somebody or people trying to touch somebody in inappropriate ways. Some through grouping, some through letting, for trying to look using their face or eyes or gesture, verbally or non-verbally, trying to distort the person. So it's not accepted by so many societies, but some places maybe they accept certain things, but it is a very bad thing. Somebody to disturb somebody without the person's consent, touch the person sexually, using various means which are not accepted. Thank you.
And the end point is that the person is not aware. The person didn't give you approval to do what you are doing to him or her.
It's like passing boundaries.
Yes, crossing your boundaries, exactly. But do you think there is a difference between harassment and assault?
Yes, harassment, yes.
What's the difference?
The clear difference comes in the form that you can harass somebody, like verbally, and still do not touch the person. But assault, he has to have contact with the person's body, especially intimate areas, to touching the breast, the clitoris, or even having penetration. A forced way, you force yourself on the person, like rape, like attempting to rape, is violation, and this is assault. And this assault is more than harassment. This is not the assault. Harassment is a kind of inappropriate remarks on somebody, trying to do inappropriate things, but verbally, personally, but not actually touching the person's physical body. That's what I believe.
And you can also harass someone through like you said, talking to the person in a wrong way, in a wrong manner. You can harass someone emotionally. You can harass someone, but for you not to go into the act proper, it is not yet assault. But assault is when you now exceeded the harassment. You've done the harassment and you made a threat through the harassment, and now you are executing it. That's where the assault comes in. And that is the one that will end up leaving the person with a great impact that will damage the person for life. So that's where the assault comes in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there is, most people don't know, but there is a thin line between acceptable behavior and harassment. And sometimes people don't know where to draw the line. People actually make these comments and things that can be called jokes.
Of course.
But they might sound like jokes. People might laugh about it, but it is actually not a joke. So how can one differentiate between acceptable behavior and harassment?
It's a thin line.
Okay, let me. Acceptable behavior. One, as I said, if you joke with me and it's accepted by myself, it is not a kind of harassment. But if you play sexually and I reject it and you continue, it's harassment. You understand? A repeated act on me that I reject is harassment.
It's harassment.
Even stalking,
Yes.
insisting on that is watching me, following me, monitoring me, and you know that I said no. The no differentiates it. When you play with somebody's breast and the guy does not talk, accepts it, joke with you, it's accepted. It's not more harassment. Even Lauren looking at somebody sexually, remove the person's clothes, and the person still enjoys it. And it's accepted by
It's
you.
acceptable.
So it's no crime. But it becomes a crime when I group you, touch your buttocks, or touch your breast, or touch your private parts. And you say no. What type of joke is this? That is not accepted.
And I insist. They just like some guys that want to, they are trying to get a girlfriend. Say, I want to. Yes, they'll be following you. They'll be telling you, I love you. You're this, that. I said, please, I'm not interested. Tomorrow they will start blocking, and they'll tell you, just let's start from platonic friend and all that. The next thing, they see you in a place or in a location. They try to go as far as try to hug you without your consent. That one is one that is not accepted.
It's not accepted. The whole thing boils down like you don't accept it.
Yeah.
As far as you reject it, it's not accepted.
It's not accepted behavior. But if the person that is dealing with the other person likes what the other person is doing, in our eyes, it might look at, I don't like what this person is doing, but the person receiving it likes it. So it's appropriate for the person.
It all borders on context.
Of course.
Exactly.
Of course.
I'm not exceeding your boundary. Do not cross your boundary.
Of course.
And okay, bringing it down to our society.
Okay.
How do you think our society and culture, do you think this contributes to the high rates of harassment and assault that we see and hear and experience these days?
Somehow our culture entertains some harassment because you think that I would say some of the culture practice timidity. There's no awareness. Some don't even know what they're doing is wrong. They don't even know somebody's crossing the boundaries. They think it's normal. And like in some places where I've lived in Warri, they don't check a woman soft like in Enugu. They command you, and it's their way of life. So in some areas, it's the culture that caused it. The environment made people to behave in such ways, and they don't even know it's wrong. That's what I say. So somewhere the culture needs to be changed. You have to sensitize the culture, enlighten them, and bring them to what is right and what is wrong. Then sometimes you meet experts like psychologists to put people through. And sometimes you pass through pastors, they pray you through. Because sometimes they don't have to be biblical. Bible must be involved.
The culture. There is this place in Nigeria today where it's their culture that once you visit me, if you're my good friend, I give you my wife to sleep with.
So there's no
it's normal. They're not saying there's anything. If you don't release your wife, it's a very big deal.
Yeah.
So you see, around that areas like that, you find out that it is their way of life. The culture of that area, that location, have made it that women will constantly be submitted to assaults on a daily basis. And they see that's the way of it. Nothing is wrong with that.
And equally in some cultures too, in Africa. Before a man gets married to their sister, their daughter, the whole aunts test the man. You go inside the room with the man and test the man. If the man performs well, you now accept.
Wow.
So that one comes in that culture.
That's culture, yeah.
Somewhere in Africa, it does happen. This one she said is somewhere in Nigeria, where you produce your wife for testing. And if the man does not test the wife, it's not a good friend.
Of course.
So that's the culture.
It's a big
Some cultures for us need to be changed. For them, I don't know whether they accept it. Maybe they like it, then you cannot stop them. But we know culture affects harassment. Some encourage harassment
and assault.
Yes, I'm talking about encouraging harassment. In our society, most people tend to be judgmental of victims of assault and harassment. And so it makes them be more quiet about it, not making them not to be able to speak out and talk about it. Now, don't you think this also promotes perpetrators of the act to keep doing it because the victims can't speak because they will be blamed or things like that?
But that one comes back in the culture whereby they believe you are the one that accepted it. You expose yourself. You are the one that caused it. And that we need to touch the culture, the society at large, even the community. We need a change. So first of all, people should be taught what is harassment. Bring it down, even to Nigeria. There's a woman, Natasha, in the Senate. She did something, she said something, but the government is playing with it because of the way we see. We have weak laws. We don't have complete understanding of such things. She might be right. Let me explain. Let's say in UK, luring, looking at somebody sexually, can be attributed as harassment. There's a way we now compare with another thing, it becomes an assault. Even in Nigerian law, somewhere they have some provisions for that. But, somehow, because we have weak judicial, and it's not weak laws, let me just say judicial system, weak laws, made it somehow, they pedal it down as if it's normal, but it's not normal.
And another thing is that those perpetrators, most of them have connections. So that's why those people that are victims, they are not given the opportunity to say. Even if they say it out, it is buried under the carpet. Because the person, it's just like, for instance, when you come and accuse maybe the governor of the state and say that he raped me, you're talking to yourself. It can't be true. Nothing can be done. So you see, instead of coming to expose yourself, rather they will twist it. Maybe it's because you're the one. You're the cause. Come on. How can this honorable man do this to you? They will now say that you are, especially the female genders, they suffer mostly in the hands of male on this area, on this angle right now, because they don't believe. They'll say, because maybe you're wearing something that exposes your body. That's why you're assaulted. So you find out that those people that are victims, they cocoon themselves in. They don't like talking about it. Two, once a brother, even the church, they're not helping. Someone will come and tell you, a brother, I was raped, I was assaulted. The next thing they will say, all these unbelievers trying to destroy the house of God. All these unbelievers, may the Lord judge you. Yes, you find out that I have had, as a counselor, I hear a lot of things. I have had an issue of a sister that the one that they said are going on night vigil. They went on the night vigil. He said, please help me pick up something from the car. Innocently, you're going with a choir master. All of a sudden, inside the car, started assaulting the girl. So they say, I'm so disappointed. And now, out of ignorance or whatever, went and told the pastor without telling the wife, So, I said, how can this brother, the person that will sing and anointing will come down?
Cannot do such an act.
Now, the next day, it becomes a topic. Now, do you know that this girl took it on Facebook? I am telling you, it was a serious thing. Say, okay, I'm lying. Let's take it. So now when the thing went to Facebook, it now got us to, that was when we knew it was not only that day, it started. It has started happening. Now they are now begging the girl to bring down the video. And I know, I even have to tell her the video must go down. Because now, it's not only the person involved. Now the church that condemned her is now involved.
Yes.
So, will you tell me that people that witness such event, they will be free to talk about it? Because a lot of people are going through this thing on a daily basis. Another thing is that the perpetrators are allowed to go scot-free. Nothing are done to them. And that's why they do it. What the hell?
That's what I talk about. We have a weak system.
I'm telling you.
The system does not handle it well. So because it doesn't handle it well, people repeat such crimes. So the crime is being repeated because of the system.
And she just told a story about someone in church who got assaulted or harassed.
And that was some power imbalance.
Now I'm coming to that, but I just want to get your opinion on that because you're a pastor as well, and you're an educator. So I'm sure in both as a pastor, you must have probably encountered people who come to you with such issues. Now, from her own angle of how the church handles this matter, what do you have to say about that?
What she said is not about the church. She was just talking about a particular church. Not all churches.
Not all churches.
Some people handle their own very well. When such cases are brought, it's for the pastors, it's a spiritual issue. So we pass through prayers first. In prayers, some people have the power to see vision. From the vision, they're able to handle the issue. So, under the pastoral part of it, when you use prayers and use the word of God, you settle their mind. And some of the victims have been delivered because these things were saying, under the normal society discussion, is normal. But in the spiritual aspect, all these things have forces involved, attached to such things. When the victim passes through rape, there's a spirit transferred to the person. The spirit disturbs the person, haunts the person gets traumatized, depressed, and doesn't feel okay. That's a spirit. But normally, if you don't understand it.
So you're linking the effects of sexual assault to spirituality.
It comes to spirituality. Yes, it's spirituality now. No, you don't believe it. When you are emotionally down, something is wrong.
I think
on my own side, what you're saying, a particular church might not handle it well. That doesn't mean that the church is right.
Okay.
That particular church may be offline, or even the church need deliverance. But when the church is okay and sound, deliverance is forever. Deliverance is a constant something. Don't misunderstand me. Every church passes through deliverance. Constant something. It's not once you are delivered for life. No. You pass through a process. So under that one, the girl or the woman comes in, pass through a process, pray, handle the issue. Some will talk through, the person get through. But some people go and expose, some come to television and some to say, this.
The thing there is that, you see, assuming someone told you, this is what I encountered, out of trust. I think the first thing that man would have done is to first of all believe. They want to be believed. One, yes. Oh, this thing happened. Oh, I believe. I know you're not lying. Just because it's out of trying to prove that she's not lying that made her to go as far as going on social media.
Yeah, okay, let's not.
That's different. The person did not handle it well. That's it. That particular person did not handle it well. That's not in the church.
But in your experience as an educator and a pastor as well, can you just share maybe an incident or something you've encountered? Maybe someone, a case you handled.
There's a case that came up, but this one is rape. She studied in the university, came out and had done her master's, looking for a job. As one says, power imbalance. The friend, a married man that's supposed to help her out, took her out. They went up after drinking, having a good time. He said, okay, come and see my wife and greet my wife. She now came to greet the wife. Coming to greet the wife was not home. She didn't know. She entered the house to greet. The man locked the door and used belts. I said to Frog, she was wondering what is that. Before you know, the man tore the girl's clothes and raped her.
Wow.
So when she brought the case and told me, I said, first of all, you have to go and do check-up. Then after check-up, you go back to the man. You go back to the man, you tell the man, do not accept to have sex again with the man. Because if you have sex with the man the second time, you are finished. It's called confirmation. That confirmed it. Tell the man, you need money for drugs to go and treat yourself. She went back to the man. The man gave her money for drugs to treat herself. She came back then, we had to send her for prayers to clean her heart. But later on, she stopped. She didn't go to meet the man again. She didn't return to the man. On the process, she now left. Because first of all, what I noticed is that when she came to me, she was panicking. She was afraid. She was behaving somehow. Her behavior was not okay. She was sitting like this before. She was sitting like this. Later I sent her to a psychologist that helped her out. So the psychologist was a prayer. She was able to get through. But on the long run, we later lost her.
Wow.
But do you think asking her to go back to the person who put her in that situation was the best?
No.
Because anything could have gone wrong.
No, that one was.
They have raped her again.
You cannot rape her again. But that one was a planned rape at night. They went outside, go and meet your wife. This time around, they have to collect drugs. The man had already slept with her. She don't hide anything. She doesn't have any money to treat herself. Because sleeping with her, she had to treat herself now. But she was asking me, am I pregnant? I said, what? She said, am I pregnant? I said, like how? But she had not tested it before. She was confused. A big girl.
Wow.
A big girl had done her master's. Is that being doing like somehow? So I sent her back. He collected money from the man, came back, and I sent her to a psychologist. When she passed through it, through prayers, she got herself well. But later on the life, she died. And through another process, she had to lost her.
So
Then
what
that's it.
about you?
That's a lasting. Maybe trauma can be part of it.
Honestly.
Trauma, the trauma of all this thing.
No, there's not trauma that did that. She exposed herself because she has body. She wasn't lying on the tires and could enter her body. That's why she died, not through the trauma. Because through prayers and through the experts that handled her, she got herself well.
That's at least that's great to hear.
And she didn't return to the man, and the man didn't have his way again, the second tenor. Because when you have a second tenor, you are finished. Second tenor is confirmation.
Yeah, but the man is still out there though.
No, the man is still out there, and nothing, nothing happened to him, except God.
These are the issues. So what about you? Do you have any,
Yes. That's this woman that came for one of the counseling session. So already she's going through depression. So when I was trying to find out the roots, how it started and everything, she now opened up and told me that she has the husband's brother that helps them. But initially she wasn't seeing it as anything. But when the thing persisted, she started seeing, it started becoming a problem that the man, before the man will give her any money, the man will ask her to remove her dress, expose her breast. So
that's her husband's brother.
Yes, the husband's brother will ask her, expose your dress and let's be talking. Call her night calls, and at a point he said that the thing, but if she refused to do that, the money will not be released, and she needs the money to take care of herself and her children, because it's very unfortunate the man is not that. The husband is going through a lot. Now this thing continued to the extent that the man got to a point to now tell her, I want to have you. That's oral sex. She was like, she said that she'll be binding and casting. And if she refused to do that, for 2 weeks, the man will not pick her call. The man will not.
So it's just like this power imbalance and power dynamic. Because now he has something to hold over her head to just have to do what he wants. But
at the end of the day, the whole thing, I had to tell her, the best bet is, can you decide to suffer to be free from this? Because the thing so much affected her, it traumatized her so much. And when they went for a particular burial at the village, the woman went as far as trying to be physical with her. And now, she now refused, but now said, okay, I'm going to tell your husband that you are flirting outside. Blackmail. Started blackmailing her. Now, without knowing that when she was doing that, the man will put this phone screen on record, recording her. So, if you don't do this, I'm going to expose this. If you don't do that, I told her the best bet is, it's better you use your hand to confess than waiting for him. Because it came to a point that the woman was so traumatized. As I'm talking, we are dealing on the issue presently. Okay. We are currently on it. So you find out that a lot of women, it's not that they decided to go through that
pass through it.
Pass through it. But one, the economy made them, because they are trying to survive, made them to endure to some certain level, because it will get to a point the person will break.
Yeah.
The person will break. And the blackmailing is also helping them to fall to the absorbed victim of such assaults.
Anyway, we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, this conversation continues. Do stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Welcome back. Before going on the short break, we were having a conversation on sexual harassment and assault. So let's continue our conversation. So there is this thing about men experiencing sexual assault. You know, when we talk about harassment and assault, most of the stories usually borders around the women and the girls, and it's as if the men and the boys, their stories are not really up that head, and it's as if people don't really believe that men can actually experience harassment and assault. So what are your 2 cents on that?
No, man or male child, they equally experience assault. They experience harassment. Like children or a young male can be abused by a grown-up. It's an assault. It's a harassment. It's not a male child. It's a male child being harassed by a woman. It's even in record why teachers sleep with their students.
Of course.
It's harassment. It's a record. Even in Nigeria and outside the country. So men are harassed. In other form too, we have different type of harassment. Some male harass male. Some female harass female. So the other way around, I had an encounter where a man will take a job in a big company or a company. And the woman that is a cosmate is supposed to help him out. The woman invited him for interview. He came, the woman lodged the hotel and invited him to come. The man came there, the woman told the man, if you want to get this job, you have to sleep with me. It's an, don't you call it harassment? It's harassment. But it sounded funny. I thought, no, it's only I'm the boss. But now the woman is demanding for sex for the young man to help the young man. And he did not help the young man. Because the young man looked at her and told her, what will I tell my God? When I go for Thanksgiving, what will I say? When I will dance in the altar, I got a job in the oil company. I will not remember in my heart that I slept with a woman for the job. It's not worth it. Instead of that, the man preferred to stay. Keep on praying. One day, door will open. But we don't have most men that pray. As I have now. We notice now that most of the males are passing through homosexual behavior, homosexual attacks. Some of them are homosexuals. It's not, I don't say only big men though. It happens to students in schools. That's why some people don't like boarding school. Boarding school is good. But if it's not well coordinated, well handled, you end up having lesbians. Producing homosexuals.
Honestly, I have this a friend of mine. So when we were discussing, I said, let me tell you something. I've been keeping this in my mind. I said, what is it? He said, do you know that the person that disvirgined me is a male now? That you know the person that disvirgined me is my school teacher. I said, what? He said that she's the one that even gave him the first infection he had in life. I was like, how did it happen? And I said that that day they finished. So the teacher now said, because he's so bright, he's so bright, and he's just like a class prefect. I said, okay, that we are going to bring those books to her house so that she will look into it properly. without knowing that the teacher already is having a crush on him. It's not that he really know what his crush is all about. So he's just an innocent boy in primary school. Not in secondary now.
Wow.
In primary school.
Wow.
They say at that time he was, is he 10 years? Where he was abused. Now, when he now came, there's that saying, say, no, drop the book here. He did. I said, okay. Normally, when they come with other students, they give them biscuits. Hey, good boy, you're trying, continue. But this time around, he was requested to come alone. And he did. He said, what is that? He now dropped the book. He said, no. The teacher now said, please come, help me. Remove my zip. Help me. That is hard for me. He said, no problem. I remove. He now said, scratch the back. Scratch. So, the next thing, he said that, he now said, there is something I want to teach you. I want to teach you biology. He said, okay, biology. Okay, no problem. And I said, that was when he saw that the teacher sucked him. He was feeling something on his head. He said, something is doing me. He said, don't worry, relax, very soon you get used to it.
Okay, so that's how
that was how he got. So you now find out it's now the teacher, the female teacher now, assaulting the male. And we have a occasion where one of the lecturers in the school, they see the campus girls trying to get a pass mark.
Yeah, that I didn't know.
No, it's not the male going after them. It's not the male going after them.
Okay, it's the female student.
The female student after the male, trying to make the male lecturer to subpedal for them.
And give the marks.
And give the benefits. So it's harassment.
Yes.
When you become, the man doesn't want you, you're touching him, it's harassment. The assault is that you will even go as far as nakeding yourself and threaten him. If you don't do this thing, I will accuse you of rape, and everybody will believe me.
Yeah, everybody will.
Honestly.
Okay.
So male also.
But there is something that has been some sort of an argument these days. People say that the dynamics between male assault and female assault is not the same. Because they say, oh, as a man, you're not scared when you see a group of women, or you don't think, like, you know that fear of, as a lady or as a woman, if you're working at night or if you see a group of boys, there is this anxiety. You start walking fast, or you know that thing, or if you're the only lady inside in a bus, you're already looking at
it's not the same dynamic.
It's not the same.
But some people argue that it's the same either way.
No, I think that we have more of women harassment, female harassment and assault than that of the male.
Yeah, well, there's more.
I think there's more
females.
More females
are being harassed than male.
So how do we better educate people about consent and respectful behavior? Because I think that is what is the thing lacking when it comes to.
We use media, educationists and specialists on that to treat it. Psychologists, pastors, we deal on these issues through online, creating awareness to the society. And government is equally involved. The government should be involved in it because government will help out to spread it out. This thing I said are some of the major ways whereby there will be enlightenment. And even in the culture, there should be culture change. And all this culture change, all these things change to the better needs experts to talk on this matter. Expose the negative part of it and teach the concept. A person must accept you. If somebody rejects you, do not continue to disturb the person. No matter sometimes there's a kind of myth that say, when you tell a woman, and a woman say maybe no is yes, it doesn't occur in the law. It's not accepted. If a woman says no, let the no be no. Leave her alone.
And I want to come from this angle that if we can work on the causes of this harassment and assault. And one of the causes are indecent dressing. Indecent dressing can lead someone to want to have you.
That one is harassment. You said this is harassment. No, that one. If you are naked, that is why no person is allowed to walk naked on the road. It's not allowed. The government doesn't allow it.
They allow it. I'm telling you, some bets. There is something one of the state government is doing. One of the state government is doing. If they see you expose your body, they will arrest you. They are going to stone you. It is currently happening in one of the states in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. So by so doing, the government is helping to save the state and reduce the rate of rape in that state. Now, but when women, I think the women should be talked to. Before you accuse someone of trying to take advantage of you, how are you dressed? Work on yourself. Of course. Yeah. Because if you don't do, you are even harassing the men. Because you're putting them in emotional trauma.
Yeah. I want to say something. As I say this, and I remember, though, I was even talking about society, talking about the government, talking about awareness.
Of course.
It boils down, first of all, family. From the home.
Mm-hmm.
From the home. When you watch your daughter get naked and go outside, it's accepted. So you train the child.
What about the boys too?
You train both. No. What I'm talking about training, there's no exemption.
There's no exemption.
You train the boy how to cook. You train the neatness. You train the boy how to handle a female. From the home. Our major problem is from even the home. Mm-hmm. From the home, when the male is not taught to do this, that feel it's not my job. No, it's not that. Or you beat a woman, you beat a lady.
Of course.
The parents don't talk. They leave that normal. It is not normal. It's an abuse.
I'm telling you.
It's not accepted. Mm-hmm. So the whole thing starts from the home. From the home, now you transfer to the school.
And then
from the school, that's what it is. From the school, the church is involved.
Okay, so because we're actually running out of time, this conversation is so interesting, I actually don't want it to end. But just your last words, how do you think people who have gone through different forms of assault and harassment, how do you think the society can help them better to speak up and to also help them come out of, whatever it is that they went through? Just briefly, before we go.
Okay, coming to how the society will help out, please, I want to beg you, if someone complains of any harassment or assault, first of all, don't judge the person. Please, let's not be judgmental. Let's accept them and try to take them either to a counselor or anything that will help them to come out of it. And there are people that when they report a case, the person they are reporting to try to take advantage of them. By so doing, you're not helping it. Please, let's stop being judgmental and let's try to accommodate them that really it is not their fault. To help them a lot.
So the victims has to be accepted, treated with care, with love, and work under them so that psychologically they will be okay, emotionally they will sound. They need helping hand. They should be accepted well, cared for. I believe that even the government should introduce some schemes that will be good for them, so that we don't look at people raped as nonsense, and they're mad people, that they expose themselves. No, most of them don't even expose themselves. Some married women are being raped.
Of course.
People know, but we don't say it.
Oh my God, thank you so much, Mrs. Grace Opani and Pastor Chukwuka Emma Soba. Thank you so much for joining us and for having this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Gender Perspective continues right after this break. Stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation with our guests. And it is important for us to note that sexual violence, which includes sexual harassment and assault, often results in long-term emotional effects. And these can include, but are not limited to, denial, genophobia, which is also known as the fear of sex, anger, self-blame, anxiety, shame, nightmares, fear, depressions, flashbacks, guilt, mood swings, numbness, loneliness, and a lot of other things. It is mostly strongly related to the development of suicidality and trauma-related disorders, including PTSD, also known as post-traumatic stress disorder, as well as the development of bipolar and obsessive-compulsive disorders. Now, experiencing sexual assault also increases the risk of developing anxiety disorders, major depressive disorder, eating disorders, addictions, and other psychopathologies. Family and friends of individuals who have been sexually assaulted also experience emotional scarring, leading to a strong desire for revenge or a desire to fix the problem or move on, and a rationalization that it wasn't that bad. Well, let's look at some of the myths and facts surrounding sexual harassment and assaults. Well, looking at these myths and facts, it is important to note that sexual harassment and assault is a reality that touches lives across all walks of life, leaving scars both visible and unseen. And today, we are not just acknowledging the problem, we are seeking solutions, exploring the ways our community is and can be actively combating sexual harassment and assault. Now, preventing sexual harassment and assault requires a multifaceted approach, such as raising understanding of consent, healthy relationships, and the impact of sexual violence. Organizations and institutions need clear policies defining prohibited conduct and outlining reporting and response mechanisms, providing training for employees, students, and community members on recognizing and preventing sexual harassment and assault, fostering environments where respect, equality, and healthy communication are the norm, and holding perpetrators accountable for their actions and supporting the victims. Well, that's the much we can take on this edition of the program. Make sure to follow us on all our social media platforms. We are live 24/7 on YouTube. Thank you so much for staying with us. I am Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha.